there, you're listening to In the Books, a period drama podcast hosted by the following bookishly inclined fangirls.
I'm Michelle. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Musings.
And I'm Rita. I'm at Annoying Rita on Instagram and never Twitter.
And welcome to the first episode of our coverage of All the Light We Cannot See, a brand new Netflix film based on Anthony Doerr's...
I've already fucked that up.
What?
TV show.
Oh, well,
yeah,
TV show. Okay. Based on Anthony Doerr's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel of the same name. The 4-part series follows the stories of a blind French girl named Marie-Laure and a German soldier named Werner, whose paths cross in occupied France during World War II.
The novel was published in May 2014 and was a huge success. Before December of that year, and bear in mind it was published in May, it had been republished 25 times.
Holy cow!
Yes, when I read that sentence, I was like, oh shit! And it remained one of the best-selling books all around the world for the next few years that followed.
Wow.
It also received critical acclaim. Pulitzer Prize, anyone? 2015 Pulitzer Prize, to be more exact, for fiction, and it won the 2015 Andrew Carnegie Medal for Excellence in Fiction.
Wow.
Critics admired the detailed descriptions within the novel, especially the sensory details. The San Francisco Chronicle's Dan Cryer, found these descriptions to be immersive. Quote, Doerr's novel spotlights history in vivid primary colours. He makes us not only see, but also feel desolation and barbarism of war. End quote.
Netflix acquired the rights to the novel in 2019, and the adaptation was written by Stephen Knight and directed by Academy Award-winning director Sean Levy. The show stars Aria Mia Loberti, who is also legally blind due to a severe form of the genetic condition achromatopsia.
You're asking the wrong person.
She landed the part after a global search for a blind or low vision actor. A fan of the book, she auditioned after learning about the search from a childhood orientation and mobility teacher. Despite no acting training, she beat out thousands of submissions to secure the role. It is her first ever acting role, and it was her first audition. Director Sean Levy said, I didn't know what she had acted in. I didn't know what her training was. All I knew is that there was a combination of intelligence, which was extremely self-evident, and a luminous quality on camera. I later found out that not only was she new to acting, she had never auditioned before. And the girl crushes this thing. Holy cow.
They got so lucky.
Yeah, they did.
The show also stars Mark Ruffalo, or Fluffalo, as I like to think of him, Hugh Laurie, Lewis Hoffman, Lars Edgren, Neil Sutton, she's a little baby.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so cute.
Marie, so cute. Filming took place during 2022 in Budapest, real-life Saint-Malo, and Villefranche-de-Rouge. No, I've already forgotten how to say that. Villefranche-de-Rouge.
I'm staying out of this one. I am no help.
Villefranche-de-Rouge. Think. Villefranche-de-Rouge.
Sorry.
With the main scenes.
Sorry.
With the main scenes, I mean the street bombings and the Saint-Malo liberation that we will see, being filmed in the latter. This town was chosen for its ancient central square that's very similar to Saint-Malo's before the World War II destruction that just destroyed the town. And its familiar 1940s style streets, and I think you'll agree, it's amazing looking.
It really is.
So now you know the extensive background to this show. Let's dive in with an even more detailed recap.
Yes. Episode 1 begins in 1944. The U.S. Air Force are bombing Nazi-occupied Saint-Malo. As the bombs erupt around her, Marie-Laure speaks through a radio transmitter to her uncle and father, asking them where they are and begging for them to come back home. She then begins her nightly broadcasted reading of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. We get a close-up of her fingers as she feels the braille. Across town, a German soldier, Werner, earnestly listens to her broadcast. Bombs are landing all around him, and one of the last men in his unit tells him they are about to die, and he is still listening to the fucking radio.
I love that about him, though.
He begs him for a drink instead. Werner explains to him that he is listening to a girl read a book, but when a bomb falls outside, he can also hear it on the radio, so he knows she is in Saint-Malo. He explains that he used to listen to a French radio program as a child on a shortwave frequency 1310. He has tuned into the frequency since being in France, and now it has come alive. He laments that he will never know who she is. A bomb explodes above them, collapsing the ceiling.
Across town, Marie-Laure signs off from her broadcast by praying to break bread with her uncle and father again. She hears the sounds of fluttering and follows it to the broken window, where she doesn't see thousands of leaflets falling to the ground. One falls inside her room, and she feels it and smells the fresh ink, but obviously cannot read the urgent message, so throws it out the window and into the burning wreck of Saint-Malo. After the quite, I'm going to say it, ugly credits, we meet another German soldier called von Rumpel. During the bombing, he has been sitting in a restaurant drinking red wine and eating fresh oysters.
Oh, poor thing.
He orders the waiter to go catch one of the thousands of falling leaflets and read it to him. He learns that the US will be back tomorrow night, and they have asked everyone to evacuate the town. The waiter angrily recalls that the Nazis have locked the gates of the town. Von Rumpel shrugs and tells him he doesn't give a fuck about the war. He's on his own mission to find a jewel, and he needs to find a blind girl who lives in Saint-Malo. The waiter isn't going to cough up her address, so Von Rumpel just shoots him. That's one way of getting out of the of paying for the food.
Yeah, but oh my god, what a vile man. Werner emerges from the rubble. He finds the body of his friend, crushed by the ceiling, and immediately tries to find frequency 1310 again, when he realizes his radio isn't working. The next morning, Marie-Laure drinks water from the bathtub where she is storing her water, smart girl, and scavenges for food around the house. One of the rooms holds a miniature scale of Saint-Malo, and Marie-Laure traces a journey. We then cut to a flashback of her doing a similar thing as a 6-year-old. Her father, helping her adjust to her sight loss, has built a miniature-scaled Paris and is explaining the directions for her. When we see her out on the streets using directions she has learned, they walk to the museum where her father works.
Inside the museum, her father has a hold of a bunch of jewels. He explains to Marie-Laure that her fingers are her eyes. You have 10 fingers, and most people only have 2 eyes, so you're 5 times better off. Which seems to be pretty true, because Marie-Laure can tell an emerald just by the feel of it. Her father then tells her about the most expensive jewel in the collection. It's called the Sea of Flames. Dun-dun-dun. When Marie-Laure asks to hold it, she's told it's off limits. There is a legend that says that if you touch the stone, whoever you love will suffer a terrible misfortune. But if you possess the stone, you yourself will never die. He insists that the whole thing is obviously nonsense, but when she asks if he's ever touched it, he does the Mark Ruffalo obfuscation of obviousness. Someone's selling a porcupine.
Yes.
The absurdly long flashback then finishes, and we're back in 1944, as Marie-Laure desperately bangs a can on the kitchen counter. Can't find a can opener, maybe can't use a can opener, I don't know. She manages to create a tiny slit and drink up the syrup that pours out of the canned peaches. She decides to walk to the bakery, where the owner offers her a scrap of stale bread and reunites her with her uncle, national treasure,
Yes.
Hugh Laurie, or Uncle Etienne, as we will now have to refer to him. He's apparently gone into hiding because he has become part of the French resistance movement and is working for the US and Britain. She assures him she has been reading the pages of the book he asked for her to read, and he tells her she is sending messages in code that will help win the war. The baker interrupts their reunion to tell her that there's a German officer in town offering food and money in return for information about Marie. Her uncle tells her to go home and lock all the doors.
Meanwhile, Werner tries to fix his radio by scavenging for wire amongst the rubble of town. The townspeople yell fun things at him like, "You want us all to fry with you, you Nazi bastard." But he remains or seems unfazed by their hostility as he hones in on his mission for wire. He is interrupted by a senior German soldier who asks him what he's doing. Werner explains that he is the sole survivor of the radio surveillance unit, and he is desperate for wire to continue his work, quote unquote. The officer offers to help him with his important work. We then get a flashback to Werner as a child. He lives in an orphanage with his sister and their guardian, Frau Elena, who proudly announces that Werner has created his own radio out of scraps that people have thrown away. She says if the radio works, it will be a small miracle. The rest of the children huddle around as Werner moves the dial through static. At least he finds some classical music playing, and they look at him in wonder. Sometime later, a young Werner is huddled under his blanket in the dormitory, pretending to be asleep, but is really listening to the radio. He is caught by his sister Jutta, who has snuck in. He lets her listen to his favorite show, Shortwave 1310. It's a French professor talking about the human brain's perception of darkness and light. We then cut across Europe. In Paris, a tiny Marie-Laure is in bed listening to the very same broadcast. Her father catches her and tells her it's very late and to go to sleep.
Back to 1914. Marie is
1944. Oh, God. Don't send us to a different war. Don't do that.
Oh, my God. Back to 1944. Marie-Laure is giving another broadcast. She talks about the professor she used to listen to as a child. She plays the music from his show and quotes him. Across town, Werner listens to the broadcast and whispers the quote along with her. Light lasts forever, for 1 billion years inside a piece of coal, but darkness lasts not even for 1 second when you turn on the light. Werner is broken from his trance by the arrival of the German captain, ? I don't know anything about military uniforms, and they never specify what his name is or what his rank is, so I was just like, who is he? He tells Werner that the bombs were incredibly accurate, and he suspects someone is transmitting information from inside the town. He offers a panicky Sergeant Schmidt to help him. Schmidt was apparently the top of his class at the National Political Institute of Education in Berlin. Quite the catchy name. So, he'll be huge help. Werner side-eyes the dude suspiciously. They're given brand new radios to help them and are left to their work. Across town, Von Rumpel, which is quite the name, visits a sex worker. But before you get too excited, he explains that he's no longer interested in sex. The medication he's taking for a very serious condition has dampened his libido. He's there instead for information about Marie. He's found the townspeople are no longer afraid of him now that the US bombing has started. But he thinks he can get information out of a person for whom straightforward financial transactions are not cluttered by the moral consideration, which is a rather eloquent way of putting it.
Yeah. Marie-Laure tries to sleep but can't, so she heads up to the attic to record another broadcast, this time speaking to her father, who has been missing for a year. Across town, Werner listens on until he is interrupted by Schmidt, who has woken up from his nap, and tells him that it's his turn. Werner, desperate to distract him from Marie-Laure's broadcasts, begins interrogating him about his claim to be the top of the class in the Berlin Institute. He doesn't remember Schmidt being top of the class. In fact, he doesn't remember him being there at all. He accuses Schmidt He accuses Schmidt of being one of the 63% of students of the intake group that couldn't hack the school. In the chaos of the war with burned paperwork, Schmidt lied to avoid being sent to the Eastern Front. And who can blame him?
Oh my God. I was
yes.
like, I'd do the same.
Yeah, me too. Werner warns him that he still corresponds with the commandant, and one word from him could see him being sent to the east. Seeing that Marie is still broadcasting, Werner drags Schmidt to the bar and forces him to drink schnapps with him. And in that instant, you knew that was not going to end well. We cut to a very drunk Schmidt throwing up the schnapps, as you do. They discuss the brutal conditions at the Institute. Schmidt only lasted 2 weeks, and his father has not spoken to him ever since. It's clear that the Institute is responsible for some really dark, lasting trauma in both men, and they bond over their experience. But Schmidt isn't an idiot, and he can sense he is being played. He grabs his gun and does his own interrogation. He noticed that the transceiver was picking up a broadcast from shortwave 1310. Werner explained he has been listening to that frequency since he was a child, when a professor used to perform and say, "Open your eyes and see what you can before you close them forever." There has been silence for years, but when he got to Saint-Malo, he heard a girl reading a book. Schmidt is disappointed that Werner's secret is not really good enough to blackmail him, and says he can't trust him with his own. So he's going to have to kill Werner to keep himself safe. Werner asks him what he's going to do to the girl. Will he track her down? Schmidt says he will do his duty. So Werner grabs the gun from him and shoots him dead.
And the whole time I was like, shoot him, you need to shoot him.
Uh-huh.
And then usually when I do that, people are like, no, I can't shoot you. And I get really annoyed because I'm Slytherin. But he actually did it.
Yes.
And I was so proud. And then I was like, oh my God, what's wrong with me?
I was like, oh, Rita, good grief.
He needed to do it. Okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
After her broadcast, a starving Marie-Laure goes to a half-submerged cave to pick oysters under the town. Von Rumpel finds her there, and despite saying he means her no harm, immediately starts taunting and manhandling her. At one point, he just flicks water at her for no reason.
Oh, my God.
The US begins the bombing of the town, and the rumbles of explosions begin to shake the cave. He tells her he's looking for the Sea of Flames. Legend says it can cure any illness, and whoever possesses it will live forever, which is looking more and more necessary for Von Rumpel, who looks sickly and weak. He knows that when she and her father fled Paris, they took many jewels with them, and he believes she has the Sea of Flames. He then takes out a gun and points it at her head. She has 10 seconds to tell him where it is. She panics and screams, "I don't know where it is, I don't know." And he counts down. When he gets to 0, the ocean rises, knocks over Von Rumpel's lantern, and they're in the dark as we hear a gunshot. Boom. The whole time I was like, but if you kill her, then what are you going to do, dipshit?
Exactly.
Anyway. Have you thought this through? Obviously. Well,
yes.
I don't know if he's thinking very clearly. He's very fucked up on drugs.
Yeah.
Okay. Question 1.
Yes.
What was your familiarity with All the Light We Cannot See?
0. I hadn't even...
You were like, what is this?
Yeah, I hadn't even heard of it. I know.
Okay, well, it's quite a famous book, as you will have.
When did it come out?
Learned.
2016.
I think 2014. It was bloody ages ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna fall on the. I was busy with Poldark Sword.
Oh, this was pre-Poldark. This was in the dark old days.
Damn. Okay, I have no excuse.
Yeah, it will surprise nobody that I've read the book. I'm sorry. I read books. It's what I do. I mean, it's a really popular book. So I wasn't surprised it got adapted, but I guess I'm surprised at how little promotion they did about it, because I had no idea that they were doing this.
I had no idea until you mentioned it and said, why don't we do this for the next podcast?
I sent you the trailer and I was like, look at it. It's quite good. The trailer looks good.
And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. I'm
I just
agreeable.
don't think Netflix, considering how big this book is, like Netflix,
Yeah,
tell people about it.
yeah.
Like, make a bigger deal. And
Well,
this seemed like an international production with like huge stars in it. And they were
mm-hmm.
like, yo, this
Well,
is out.
despite the sad amount of publicity that this show is getting, it is in the like top 5 trending on Netflix. So it has gone over big time on the channel, which is good.
Yeah, I think that they dropped it around Armistice Day. So that was
Mm-hmm.
like perfect timing, sort
Yeah.
of conscious. What the word am I looking for? Like just perfect timing as we're
Mm-hmm.
all sort of thinking about wars and
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
So accidental good timing.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, I think they should have made a bigger deal about this because, like, it's got stars, it's got an Academy Award winning director,
Mm-hmm.
it's a Pulitzer Prize winning book.
Mm-hmm.
They obviously spent loads of money on it. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Promote
And
this
the
shit.
the performances, holy cow.
Oh, we're
And
gonna talk
I
about the
know we are going to
performances.
get into that. But yeah, this is a great one.
I'm so glad you liked it.
Mm-hmm.
So the book.
Yes.
Have you downloaded it on Audible? Audible
I
yet?
have it on Audible. And I am planning on starting it this weekend.
Good, you're gonna like it.
Yeah, I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to it.
despite having read this book before, I have little to no memory of the plot. It was 10 years ago, okay? My main memories about it were just the fact that there was, a German soldier and a French girl.
Hmm.
Um, I remember the description of her father's miniature city of Paris,
Oh.
and like that was really distinct in my mind. And
Hmm.
you're gonna find that when you listen to the book, like there's very lyrical phrasing.
Mm.
He's such a great, detailed author, and his descriptions are amazing.
Oh God, I can't wait.
The actual plot and like what happens next,
Hmm.
no idea what happens.
Well, that's a good thing. You can enjoy it. You can enjoy it
It's
straight
like the
up.
first time.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I'm going to be listening to the audiobook along with the show.
Okay.
So I watched the episode and then I put on the Audible, and then I was like, oh yeah, this shit's good. I think they managed to condense some of the backstory really
Uh-huh.
well. Like, obviously, it's not as detailed.
Yeah.
But I think there's going to be some more flashbacks to come.
Hmm.
I love Werner's backstory in particular. I love everything
Yeah.
about his life at the orphanage and his sister and everything.
Yeah.
It's good shit. I
Yeah.
think we're in for a treat.
Yeah, it's very intriguing. I found myself, by the time I got to the end of the episode, very intrigued in learning more about all of the characters, with the exception of Schmidt, because I kind of had a feeling that he had kind of a red shirt thing going on. Um,
You're making me cough.
Oh, sorry. But I
Had the vibe.
I was instantly intrigued with all of the characters and wanting to know kind of where they were going. So, definitely looking forward to listening. Don't know if I'll get caught up to where we land with at the end of episode 2 before we get to next week's show, but I'm going to do my best.
Okay, so what did you think of episode 1?
Wow. It was
Right?
fantastic. It was, instantly gripping. Like I said, I was kind of riveted to the performances, the story, the city, the carved out city was so gorgeous, so beautiful. And the interaction that Ruffalo had with the little actress playing the young Marie-Laure was it just made me choke up.
It was pure Fluffalo. It was
Yeah.
Fluffalo at his finest.
Yeah.
He was just like cuddly dad mode.
Yeah, it was just delicious. So I was, when we got to the end and we're in that cave and he's doing that countdown, which, we saw at the beginning of the show when he was in the restaurant.
Like, oh shit.
And, it's like, dude just has zero patience for any kind of foolishness.
I mean, he's dying.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Fair
and
enough.
he looks wretched. He just looks wretched. And you can tell that he just doesn't give a damn about anybody else. He needs to find this stone, which I'm assuming is a ruby. But anyway, I thought the performances were wonderful. And of course, when Hugh Laurie walked onto the screen, I was just, my face split into a grin, because I just think he's marvelous. It was great.
Hugh Laurie, national treasure.
Mm-hmm.
We will all be in a worse world without him.
Mm-hmm.
I think just
absolutely. How about it? And the young man who's playing Werner.
We were talking about how much I love him.
Yeah. It was fantastic. How about you? Did it meet your expectations?
I was surprised how much I enjoyed it because the show has had really bad reviews.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I know. And I was going into it thinking like, oh, what have they done? Like, what have they done? And then I watched the first episode and I was like, this is good. What's wrong?
Yeah, it's like, what were the rest of you people watching?
I don't know. So maybe something horrible happens. I don't know. And I'm also not really a huge fan of like war media.
Yeah.
But I loved this. Like, the visuals were incredibly striking. Like,
yes.
The scene with all of the floating leaflets blowing in the wind.
Oh,
well, it's just like imprinted on my brain. Like, it will stay with me for a really long time. I think the performances of the two leads is incredible work.
Yep.
And they have like a stellar supporting cast.
Mm-hmm.
Even people like, the sex worker who we saw for like 3 minutes was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Or like they cast Schmidt, by the way, is the lead in All Quiet on the Western Front.
Oh, wow.
Like, crossover.
Oh, man.
Because I was looking at him the whole time like, I know you. I know you. Why do I know your face? And then I Googled it and I was like, oh, shit, of course. And like when you think, like, even such minor characters, they've gone to such lengths to cast them perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all really sympathetic. It's great to see nuance in a show set in World War II as well, because often there's this temptation to give people like the black hat or the white hat, and like, which is a bit simplistic.
Yeah.
I mean, with the exception of maybe Von Rumpel.
Yeah. He's like, okay.
Everyone's a bit of both. Like, even Werner is, he's the hero, but he did shoot a man in the first episode.
Yes.
And like, also, I know I said that about Von Rumpel, but he is also quite charismatic and fun in his own sort of cruel, brutal way.
Yes.
And I'm enjoying all the different characterizations. I think what I'm liking is also how long the scenes are. When I was writing the recap, I realized like there's maybe one scene every 5 to 10 minutes. Like they really linger. And we've been watching a lot of shows where we're like, slow down.
Yes. Wait, what's going on? Stop.
Why are we cutting away? Like, just let us enjoy the performances.
Yeah.
I think when you've got such good actors, like, linger.
Yes.
Let us be with them. And I thought the scene with Werner and Schmidt was a great example of that. It was very long and it was very dramatic. It's like watching a 2-man play where you're like, oh, what's going to happen next?
So good.
Speaking of what we've been watching recently, multiple timelines.
Is this a new trend? Is this a new trend that we're going to be having in our period pieces these days? At least this one is not as frenetic. Straight from the book. Yeah. This one is nowhere near as frenetic as the ones that we've had for the last 2 podcasts. But it was very easy to follow. And made sense for those moments to happen when they did, in order to provide us with more context for the story. They would have to.
It never felt superfluous, did it? No. It wasn't like, oh, why are we here now?
No, it made total sense. But we will see just how heavy or light-handed they get with this. I have my fingers crossed that this is going to be positive.
I think what it does is like it creates a bit of a mystery of like you're watching the episode going, wait, what happened to Marie's father? How did Werner become a Nazi? Like there's like a little hook. Rather than just telling the story in a linear way, you want to like, oh, I need to unravel this mystery of this person's backstory. So that's a good reason, I think, rather than like, hey, we're 60 years in the future. Why? Dunno.
Oh, Lord. So, anyhow, storylines. Let's focus first on 1944 Saint-Malo with Marie, Werner, and Reinhold.
So Marie, I really enjoyed seeing her in this situation where she's being really resourceful and clever. Creating that coded message for her uncle and, thinking to look for oysters. I was like very impressed by her.
Yes.
She's this great heroine because she has all these positive qualities, but I never feel like she's Mary Sue-ish. Like she's not like, she's never like,
I'm not expecting
perfect person.
Yeah, I'm not expecting a little cartoon bird to land on her finger. She is.
I feel like she could swear.
Yes. Yeah, she is resourceful and she's becoming increasingly desperate. She's starving. And I think that's one of the things that they did a good job with in the show thus far is both Marie and Werner look like a gust of wind. A gust of wind is going to just knock them on their asses. I hope that they didn't have to do anything too drastic to get to that frail of a state, but
I think a lot of that is sort of in the acting as well.
Yeah.
Because they just sort of look fucking exhausted. Like you're watching them navigate the town, just trying to get over all of these gigantic exploded streets. And you're like, oh my God, sis, stay home.
Yeah. And you see Werner trying to, pull a wire out of some debris. And, it's just a little tiny piece of wire. And he just has zero strength to be able to do it.
I was thinking, like, the whole vibe of this is, like, apocalyptic. So often when you see, like dystopian, apocalyptic, like, situations, it's set in the future. And then I was thinking, like, but if you were in 1944 Saint-Malo, it felt like the apocalypse. Like, everything is blowing up around you. You have no food. You're trapped in the city.
Yeah.
Like, we've already lived through, well, we haven't, but they lived through the apocalypse, and morality and all of that has completely broken down. It just is like you don't really need to look to fiction. Like, people have lived through it.
Yeah.
And they were totally embodying that. You've got absolute chaos. They look fucked up.
Yeah.
And I think like part of why this character works so well for me is because they chose a visually impaired actress.
Mm-hmm.
It feels authentic.
Yeah.
But that's not even the whole point, really, I think, because so often you get like an able-bodied actor pretending to be blind.
Mm-hmm.
They focus so heavily on trying to get the little accuracies of pretending to be blind right that they completely ignore the character because they're just so focused on her disability. And with Marie-Laure, she's more than just the blind girl. She's a fully fledged young woman. And because the actress is already visually impaired, she's focusing on the character and not on the disability because that comes naturally to her. So you get like a fully fledged character.
Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you, the number of times that, you're watching a show with someone who's visually impaired and they are staring so far off.
Yeah.
In a non-blinking sense that it's just like, oh, come on. But yeah,
it's really hammy. And like in retrospect, I can see why they would do that because obviously it's easier on set to have somebody who isn't disabled, and it's not like the most friendly environment to be on.
Yeah,
but
it's clear that the decision to go with a visually impaired actress pays off for them because she's extraordinary. She's amazing. I am just completely blown away by her performance. And to be honest, I had no idea that she was visually impaired. And so when you mentioned that at the top of the show, I'm sitting here staring at my screen with my jaw on the floor, going, holy crap. And the fact that she's never acted before and she's never auditioned for anything before and just basically blew everybody away. I cannot wait to see more of this performance.
I love the choices they've made. Speaking of Werner.
Yes.
Last name I can't pronounce.
I'm sure that there's a silent P or something. Who knows? Yes. Pfennig?
Pfennig?
Yeah. No idea.
Sorry to the Germans out there.
Yes.
His scenes were the most moving for me. Full disclosure, I am a card-carrying member of the Lewis Hoffman fan club. I think you should watch Dark. I may have chosen this show just as a vehicle for you to maybe watch Dark, and I can try and bully you into watching Dark. That would be great. This man could act circles around most people.
Oh,
I feel
wow.
like he's very impressive.
Wow.
And the more I've watched this episode so many times, obviously because you have to for the recap. And I'm more impressed the more I watch his performance. There's so much nuance here. He just reeks of trauma and extreme fatigue. And just like, there's also this undercurrent of rage whenever he has to interact with anybody of a superior rank. Like, he's just like barely repressed rage. Yep. He's like, yes, I can do that. Yep. I'm not going to punch you in the face. So great.
Oh, wow.
He's just very watchable. Like, watching him listen to the radio was like, you're literally watching someone listening to something that shouldn't be as compelling as it is. But watching his little face, I was like so moved. Moved by him.
Oh, I am so excited to see more of this. It was hard for me to stop when the credits were getting ready to roll, and of course I did my fumble for the remote quick before the next episode starts thing that Netflix does to you. But
it's too quick. They need
yeah,
to
it
make
is.
it at least like 20 seconds. What is
Yeah, it
this
is.
5-second bullshit?
Oof. But yeah, I can't wait. And maybe I will watch Dark. It's like several seasons though, right?
Yeah, but they're German seasons.
She whines.
It's not American seasons. It's like maybe 4 or 5 episodes.
Oh, okay.
I think there's only 3 seasons.
Yeah, I think so. Okay.
That is the size of one K-drama that you can knock out in a day.
Oh, stop it! Stop it!
I know. I think just try the first season. If you don't like
K-drama shame me. No.
I'm not K-drama shaming you. I'm just putting it in proportion. I would never K-drama shame. I am one of you. Yes. Yeah. I think I also you like science fiction, right?
I do.
Then you're gonna love Dark. It's one of Netflix's biggest shows, and it also happens to be in German. So, but please, I beg you, do not.
I'll read the subtitles.
Yes,
I won't do the dub. I won't do the dub.
And then you can see why I love Sissy's mum in Sissy. She's also in that show.
Oh, good.
I think in general, people are really sleeping on how good German TV has got recently. They've got actors. Speaking of, Reinhold von Rumpel.
Oh, wow.
He feels a bit like Cruella de Vil in that the man is evil.
Yes.
But he's a little bit fabulous in camp.
And he's crazed because he's ill. The eyes, I'm looking at the cast page and kind of clicking through images.
That man does not usually look like that.
No, yeah, Lars Ettinger. But his eyes are just as piercing and kind of upsetting.
They're just very blue.
They're very
blue.
They're very blue. They're very deep set. And yeah, if he does
when he smiles, he's like a completely different person though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But what a performance. What a performance. I mean, I was thinking about the performance
there's a picture of him with Meryl Streep. What the fuck?
Yeah, I was thinking about the performance that Ray Fiennes gave in Schindler's List. Except he was just evil to the core. And this character that we have in this production, Reinhold, he's evil, but there's a jester in there that we didn't have with Fiennes' character, and for very good reason.
I think he's like the embodiment of nihilism.
Yeah.
And I think that makes him, knowing that he thinks he's dying and seeing how fucked up he is, there's almost a justification for his worldview.
Mm-hmm.
He's dangerous because he doesn't have the same consequences as the rest of us.
Yeah.
And that's what's making him ruthless and single-purposed.
Yeah.
And it almost, but not quite, justifies his behaviour. There's a desperation, but also like a flamboyance of I'm gonna die, so I'm gonna drink this wine and eat these oysters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh my god. It's fun to watch as well. There was the line where when he was talking to the waiter, the waiter was like, "Go to hell," and he said, "Don't be ridiculous. It's quite plain. We're in hell already."
Yes.
I was like, that's what I feel like. I compared him to Cruella de Vil, where he's very camp and evil.
Yeah.
And it's almost fun. But then you remember that he's killing people, and then it's like, oh, I can't enjoy you. You are the worst.
Yeah.
And like the moment where he sees Marie and he's like, I don't want to harm you, and then he flicks the water at her. It was so petty. Here's a petty little prince.
Yeah. Little man, little man.
I mean, I love this actor. He's really leaning into the camp.
Yes.
It's fun.
Yeah. Really enjoyable. Yeah, really enjoyable. Okay, Gear Shift. 10 years earlier, 1934, with Marie-Laure and her father, your favorite, Mr. Fluffalo.
He's so fluffy. Actually, my favorite might be that little child actress.
Oh,
she is super, super cute.
Isn't she just adorable?
I also loved her perfect Parisian little girl haircut and the little coat.
Yes.
It was like, this is maybe the cutest thing I've ever seen.
You know, when you think about when I saw her, I immediately thought of Madeleine.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
She okay. Now they need to make a blind girl version of Madeleine with her as the star.
But yes,
the cartoon where they get into rows of two and they get in the bed. Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
And we saw a nun in this. This is all full circle. The one thing I want to say is that in the book, the introduction of the Fire of the Sea Stone was way better. This show, it kind of just randomly gets stuck in and mentioned, and it doesn't feel like it's fun. In the book, there she goes to the museum and is having a tour, and then one of the really old tour guides tells her this really long-winded, admittedly, tale of the stone and its journey through history, and like when it gets discovered and who some random guy, I can't remember his name, gets the stone, and then it's passed on to another person, and they have tragedy, and it's passed on to another person. You get like the whole backstory of the stone winding its way through known historical periods, which makes it feel more authentic, like it might be a real thing that happened in history. And in the show, they haven't built up the legend enough, in my opinion. Like, it's just a stone.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just like, okay, this is all it's so superstitious. And, you know, so I look forward to hearing about how they build this up in the book, to make it a little more.
I think you'll enjoy it. It's yeah. I think it's just, if you want to make it feel authentic, you have to give the legend more heft.
Yeah.
Especially because like so much of the bloody plot revolves around this stone.
The stone,
like build it up. In the show, it's just like, hey, there's also this stone. Okay, bye.
It's like, wait, what? Come back here. Oh, jeez.
What about Werner in the orphanage?
Oh, that was heart-wrenching. It was heart-wrenching. Poor little boy.
I love him. I also loved his relationship with Frau Elena.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Frau Elena. She's so, you can see how proud she was of him and how loving she was.
I think one of the things that seeing him at the orphanage, you know, with all of the other orphan children, you know, around, it made me think, God, you know, those children were, you know, the ones that wound up getting swept into this nightmare of the Third Reich and Nazism. And it made me wonder, you know, well, what happened to to Frau and the rest of the children as, you know, they grew up and as the war advanced.
Nothing good.
You know, nothing good. You know, so it was really hard. It was heart-wrenching for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's awful to think about how manipulated they would be. I mean, being a member of the Nazi youth was mandatory for the boys.
Yeah.
So, like, all those little boys around him. And I guess also Werner himself, like, has to become a Nazi.
Yeah.
And it's something that you don't want to think about, but he's probably committed atrocities. I mean, and he looks really fucked up when he's talking about, like, yep, he's helped the Nazis, and it's very hard to blame him because you know he was an orphan, And
Yeah.
it's literally his path to any kind of life for himself. The only way he could have done it is through the military. So,
and to hear him,
it's
to hear him and Schmidt describing that school that they went to, oh my Lord.
We're gonna get into that.
I was wondering if Rita's history train was gonna be taken off at some point.
I kind of struggled with like, hey, should I do a history corner? But then I was like, it's the World War. It's too big. It's too big for me to try and explain the World War. All the different dynamics.
Yeah.
I might talk a little bit about the liberation of Saint-Malo because this show very, very accurate, I think. Well, so far. I haven't seen the rest of it, obviously.
Wow.
I also think it's like good that we get like, because the story is so dark, it's important for us as viewers to sort of understand why Werner isn't more fucked up. You know, why he's a good kid. And it's because he had Frau Elena, who, you know, loved and encouraged him. And he has really good relationships with her and his sister. So despite everything, I think he's still holding on to his semblance of humanity and the good in the world because he has good foundations. And people around him maybe didn't have those foundations and then ended up becoming worse Nazis, you know?
Yeah.
He's the most sympathetic Nazi you will see.
Boy, and that's saying a lot. Okay. So, favorite characters or performances? I think we've talked about favorite characters by now, but I think that my favorite moment this was the flashback with Marie-Laure and her father, and just how the two of them were so engaging with one another. It was just a delight to watch. You know, Mark Ruffalo being marvelous. I hope he's not dead. No spoilers. No spoilers.
I can't remember.
Oh, good. Okay. Phew.
Couldn't tell you. I feel like he might not be dead. I don't know.
We'll find out. But yeah, I think that was my favorite.
Yeah, my favorite was obviously Werner. Just card-carrying member. Love and support him.
Oh, yeah, his scene in the orphanage, definitely very moving.
I just love the shot of him at the end after he's shot Schmidt, where he just sort of like slumps, like, oh shit.
Yeah, I was like, oh, damn. Well, yeah, it's like
that was worth it.
It was like, dude, how are you going to explain this one? Because you know they're going to come back and check on you. How are you going to explain this?
I would just stick his body next to under some rubble. There's bombs going off.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm sorry. This is the perfect scenario to cover up a dead body.
Yeah. He went out in the night and, you know, boom. Oops. Oh, Lord.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's going to be a lot of work, and I'm not sure he can drag the dead body. The logistics are a bit questionable.
Yeah, he's a little on the wobbly side. So
yeah, my man needs some oysters. I know a girl who can hook him up.
Yes, indeed. And I love the way that they're like passing one another without realizing it. Yeah.
The shot of her, well, he walks past the bakery and then she walks up to the bakery.
Yeah.
I was like, had a little gasp.
Yes.
They just feel very connected. There's also the scene where he says the quote along with her. I like tingles.
Yeah. Tingles. Oh, I can't wait to see them in a scene together.
Oh my God, I might cry. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait until they're in a scene together.
I'm like, is this shipping? This might be shipping.
Oh, yeah. Just a tiny bit.
Just a little bit.
Oh, man. Oh.
Yeah, and the fact that she was listening to the same broadcast as he was, and they were like so far apart as kids.
Yes.
They were connected by this one stupid show.
Yes.
Oh, it makes your heart hurt.
It's just
so cute.
It's romantic romantic AF.
It is.
Yes.
It's lovely.
Yes. More. Need more now. I may have to watch the second episode as soon as we wrap up today.
I might do that as well.
Yeah.
I was really annoyed. A part of why I started the Audible book immediately was like, I need this injected into my veins.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so that was the quote was my favourite scene.
Okay.
Was yours Fluffalo in Fluffalo in Paris.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I could not get enough of that. That was just so wonderful. Oh.
In terms of costumes, it's very tough to say because so many Nazi uniforms. So many.
Lots of Nazi uniforms, lots of costume. The women's costumes are reflective of the times that they're in. Bedraggled is the perfect word for it.
I know, but did you see the waistcoat they put on Hugh Laurie?
Yes, of course. It's a waistcoat.
I was like, Michelle's gonna love this.
Yes. Bring on the waistcoats, man.
That was cute.
Yeah.
He looks the most put together, which is ironic.
Yeah, considering that he's running around with, the resistance forces and all that kind of stuff. But,
he's got a hookup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he must. Locations. I just started down the rabbit hole of Saint-Malo, and the pictures are beautiful.
Doesn't it look exactly like it is on screen?
Yeah.
It's like they've recreated it perfectly. Well, some of it was shot there. Okay, you need to Google La Bouche en Folie Saint-Malo.
I beg your pardon.
La Bouche. Okay, let me try and say American. La
Bouche
en Folie.
En Folie.
Right, it's a real place.
Oh, it's a restaurant?
It's the exact restaurant from earlier in the episode where he shoots the waiter.
Oh, wow. Oh, my gosh.
I Googled it and went, oh, shit.
That's it.
Even the curved windows.
Wow.
That's the level of detail we're dealing with here.
Wow, that's incredible.
What first struck me about that was actually just the name of La Bouche en Folie as a name for a restaurant that has a man sipping red wine and eating oysters while the town is in ruins around him. Yeah. Was just so striking.
Wow. That is amazing. I love that level of detail.
I know, and this is the thing. If I hadn't Googled that randomly, you never would have known.
No, but that's it.
Because it's not important to the plot.
No,
but somehow it's very important to the plot. But it feels so real. Because it is real.
Yeah, it is like doubling down on the authenticity. Yeah, that's amazing. Ugh, I can't wait to do more deep dives into the area because the photos are just amazing. But yeah, how about anything that you didn't like?
Mark Ruffalo's shitty British accent in general.
Yeah, it was pretty dreadful.
It was like, I love you, Fluffalo. Just be American. Be American.
Please.
I mean, we all know you're not French.
Yes.
We all know everyone's not French. In general, very confused why everyone is using a British accent. The scene where the French sex worker was practicing her English in perfect English diction made no sense.
Yeah, it was kind of like,
really threw me.
Damn, girl, you're doing a really good job. You've been at this for a little while, haven't you?
Whenever we see a historical period set anywhere, like even if it's in like Italy or France, they would do an English accent because it's in the past and they think everyone's... It's in the past, we'll do an English accent.
An English accent. That will make it posh and fancy.
That will make it the past. That's one of the reasons I think I really liked Marie Antoinette. when we reviewed the Sofia Coppola movie. Everyone
Yeah.
was just doing their normal accents. The Americans were American, you know.
Yeah.
And it worked because we all know none of this is real.
Mm-hmm.
If they wanted to make this more realistic, which I think is fair enough, have people speaking actual French.
Yes.
They hired a bunch of German actors
Mm-hmm.
and had them speaking English. It's weird. Why? Why?
This does not
German
make
actors
sense
in the first place.
This does not make sense.
Shit like this is what bothers me about period movies in general. It's like either accept that this is all fake or try and make it real.
Yes.
Don't do this weird thing in between where we're having a French lady practicing English in an English accent.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
Ay.
Sort it out. I also find it really weird whenever I watch something set in like Russia, where people will speak in English, but they'll put on a fake Russian accent where they'll do slight Russian tinged English. That also bothers the shit out of me. I'm like, what is that?
Oh, God.
Does it make sense?
No, it doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense.
God.
No.
You know, I love period dramas, but there is some real nonsense going on sometimes.
Cut out the nonsense.
Just pick a lane. Stick to the lane. Don't do this weird thing.
Yeah. It is always annoying when we have, these actors who, okay, Hugh Laurie, as you said, national treasure, is a wizard when it comes to accents. Yes.
He could probably speak French if he wanted to.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me at all. I remember, having, my ex-husband, who was a massive fan of the television show House. I told him one day, you realize Hugh Laurie is British. And he was like, what? Are you kidding?
Okay.
I'm like, how?
I find
okay, how
so
do you
weird
not?
because...
Yeah, first of all, how do you not know Hugh Laurie outside of House? But
yes,
putting that aside, yes, he's British.
I find that baffling.
And there are so many British actors who are phenomenal at American accents.
It does not often work the other way around.
It does not compute. There are few cases where it does. Our dear, oh God, his name just flew out of my head from Poldark. Francis.
Oh my God.
Kyle Stoller.
Kyle Stoller is your national treasure.
Yeah.
He should be crowned.
Yeah.
His accent's better than mine.
Yeah, I amazing.
I love him.
But
compare that to like whatever was happening with Mark Ruffalo. People were on set with him and they were like, "Yep, this is working." Like this was his best take. This was the good stuff. What is on the cutting room floor? It just makes you wonder. Why was nobody like Mark? Do you need?
We need to get someone in here to work on your diction. Okay?
Yeah. I think he was thinking about it too hard because sometimes it was like his acting sort of when he wasn't saying words, fantastic. But when he was having to say lines, it was like he was thinking about the accent and you were like, oh, it could go off it could derail at any moment now. It's only that I love him so much that I will forgive him this transgression. And also I feel like someone should have intervened.
Yes.
They lied to him. They told him
they told him it was great. It was not great.
They failed him. He needed support.
Yes. Yes, he did. Y'all let him down.
I think maybe that little girl was doing a better accent than he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think she's British. I think the little girl is British.
Here's an idea. If you want British accents, hire a British actor.
There you go.
That's saying that.
Yeah, that's not a hard thing to do.
I'm pretty sure Marie-Laure, American actress,
Yeah.
doing a better job. Never been an actor before.
Mm-hmm.
Doing an accent better than
Another wizard. She's a wizard.
Human treasure.
Yes.
Mark Ruffalo. He did his best. But
yes.
He shouldn't have. Maybe he was miscast. I don't know. But then he's such a good dad.
Yeah. I love him.
I do love him.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with whether he should have had this role though.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
Okay.
How many Sea of Flame? Wait, that Sea of Flames makes it sound bad. I should have picked another thing.
How many?
What about oysters?
Well, we can't say bees. Oysters. Yes, let's go with oysters.
Yeah. How many oysters out of 5?
I would give it 5.
Samesies.
Yep.
That is my hot take.
I would give it 5.
I don't know if the whole, it might get. I'm scared because the reviews are bad.
Yeah. I saw that it got 25% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's so low.
It's
I'm scared.
It is. It's a shame. 25 or 28. Excuse me. I'm going to give them their 3%.
That's still low.
It's incredibly low.
What are they saying that we have?
I don't know.
Then it's so popular. I don't know. Sometimes, we have disagreed with the critics before.
Oh yes, definitely.
So maybe the critics are wrong and we're correct.
Yeah, I'm going to trust our opinions. Thank you.
So far, so good.
So far, 5 oysters. Yes.
Okay, episode 2 description. During an intense interrogation, Marie recalls the Nazi invasion of Paris as Werner remembers a fateful visit from an SS officer to his orphanage.
Oh boy. Oh
backstory.
Boy. We are going to get a lot of backstory. Mm-hmm.
I'm quite happy to see the Nazi invasion of Paris, though, because that shit is historical.
Mm-hmm.
And
maybe a good time for a history corner.
Oh my god, I have to do the whole Nazi invasion of Paris. This is stressing me out. I'm like, how much detail do I go into?
Pick a tiny thing. Pick a tiny thing in the grand scheme of things.
Michelle, you know that I read like 17 books.
I know.
This is what stresses me out. Is that I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to talk about it, I need to read all the 17,000 books about the Nazi invasion of Paris. Could I just go on Wikipedia? Yes.
Yes.
Am I that person? Absolutely not.
Maybe you need to be that person this time around.
I might have to be that person.
Yeah.
So that's something to look forward to for next week's podcast.
Yes, indeed.
Folks, Rita becomes a different person.
Oh, gosh. Well, on that note, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back soon with our podcast on episode 2 next week. If you want to be read out in our inbox feature, then you can email us at inthebooksnetwork@gmail.com and follow us on social media at inthebooksnetwork for more fun period drama takes from us. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe, and we will see you all next time. Bye!